Yesterday, you read thinking about your author's distinctive style when capturing moments that reveal a character's deeper self. And you began to create some pretty awesome technique charts that capture that author's style. I want you to very quickly review your chart and review the work that you did yesterday. Today, I want to help you do an even better job at this work of describing your author's style. To lift the level of how you do this, let's leave literature for a moment and talk about the style of an artist. Let's think about how people describe the style that particular artists use. Take a look at this painting for a moment. It's called Starry Night, and it's a famous painting by Vincent van Gogh, one of the world's best known artists. Look closely and be ready to think about what you find most powerful. Think about the words you would use to capture Van Gogh's distinctive style, as shown in this one painting. So, if you're anything like me, you probably noticed that there were some bold colors and some swirly shapes. But recently, I turned on the TV and I saw a show where museum experts were talking about famous works of art, and I got interested. When they talked about Starry Night, I was so intrigued to hear them talk about things like contrasting color choices and fluid brushstrokes that create chaotic shapes. These experts were able to talk in way more detail than I was about the artwork. And they did it by taking the big techniques that many artists use and getting really specific about how this one artist did them in a particular way. This got me thinking of the work that you're doing. But I'm curious whether you could do more of what those art experts do. I think that if you tried it, it would help you figure out even more specific answers to the questions we've begun considering. How is my author bringing his or her characters to life, making them significant and three dimensional and real? What is he or she doing that makes this happen? Today, I want to teach you that readers don't just use the first word that comes to them to describe a technique. Just like they reach for the exact words to describe a character, they push themselves to use more specific language to describe what an author is doing. Let me show you how I do this. I was trying this work that we started yesterday, remaking the author's technique chart to be specific to techniques that Matt De La Pina uses. And I came up with a bunch of things that we've seen him do. Take a look at my chart. But now that I'm thinking about being more specific and precise, I'm wondering if these terms really capture what's distinctive about Matt's writing. I think I'll need to go back to the text and zoom in on a part that shows one of these techniques, and then try to use more precise words to capture what Matt's doing. Let's think about the dialogue he writes for the main character. Pretty much every author uses dialogue, but there's something unique about how this author writes dialogue that feels important. Let's take another look at the part when he's trying to get in the basketball games and no one will let him play. We can think about how we can be more specific about the way Matt uses the technique of dialogue. At first, this basketball blackballing will tear you up inside. You know you can hang. Your jumper is as pure as anyone's in the gym, except maybe this guy they call Dante who never misses. Sure, these dudes are bigger and stronger and more aggressive, but at the very least, you could be a dependable distributor. You know where to put a lob on the fast break, so your big man can mash it down with a guttural growl. You plead with the guy standing on the sidelines. You gotta let me play, man. I can ball, I swear. But these outbursts of self promotion will fall on deaf ears. All you'll do that first day is hoist a few jumpers between games, then retreat back to the bleachers to watch. Hmm, so the author is using dialogue, but how? How can I describe the way the author is using the technique? Well, I think instead of just writing any old dialogue, he's making it feel really realistic. It feels like something a teenager would say. The author doesn't make the character say, "You've got to let me play." He says, "You gotta." And he doesn't say, "I can play basketball." He says, "I can ball." That feels realistic. Matt De La Pena is working hard to make us hear how the character talks and thinks by using realistic language like the character would really use. What are you thinking? Do you agree, or would you say it differently? So I've changed where I originally just wrote dialogue to say realistic dialogue that uses slang. So, readers, do you see how I did that? I did a few different things. I went back into the text to reread more closely. And when I did that, I asked myself how the author was using the technique, and it helped me to say what he could have done differently. I also used words that were more specific and precise to capture what he was doing. Readers, why don't you give this a try? Let's take this next item on my chart, many details. We can look back at the same text excerpt. Matt De La Pena definitely uses a lot of details, but so do most authors. So help me out here. How can we revise that technique description to capture what Matt does with details? What's so special about the details he uses? Did you notice that Matt uses a lot of basketball related details like jumper, lob, fast break, and big man? That feels important. He's being really specific. You might have been thinking that he uses details that help you picture the scene. So, not just any details, but really vivid ones that bring the scene and the characters to life. So, let me revise my chart. Meanwhile, you also need to make a plan for how you might try this work today. How will it help you as you keep investigating how your author crafts characters? And how will this help you create your new and improved technique charts? Readers, you're becoming author experts, just like the art experts who knew more than I did about Starry Night. While some readers might say that this author uses dialogue or details, you can be far more precise. And this matters. When you get to know an author's style well, the author is almost a friend or a part of your own lives. You'll start to write like your author, think like your author. As you go off to read, keep in mind that you're still investigating how your author creates characters. Remember why this matters. This author will become a big part of your reading life. This sets you up for more powerful work for the rest of the year and the rest of your reading lives. Okay, readers, off you go.